I received this old Rockford Power 1001 BD amplifier with the claim that the amplifier was making alternator winding noise as soon as the RCAs were connected to it, and this noise was coming through the guy's door speakers. This can happen when the pins to the RCA block get snapped, but that's not the case here. This thing is solid and it has good connection on all of the RCA ground rings. Notice though how the RCA ring ground is common to the power supply main ground, remember that. Powering it up for a quick test reveals a beautiful clean sine wave with no noise or weird behavior. I asked the customer what amp he's using for his door speakers, and he sent me this picture, a nice old Soundstream. And he said while the Rockford amp's with me, he's replaced this with another sub-amp that doesn't cause the issue, and this got me thinking. Remember how this amp has a common signal side ground to main power supply ground? Well, I asked him to remove the RCAs from the amp that's currently there that doesn't cause it, and check the resistance between the RCA ring on that amp and the main ground, and it was open. I then asked him to do the same on the Soundstream, and there was no resistance between RCA ring and main ground either. This means that both these amplifiers have a floated signal side ground, the same as the head unit, whereas this Rockford has a common signal and power side ground. The problem with this when using the Rockford and Soundstream in the same system is that for the Soundstream signal side, it sees a pathway to main ground all the way through the RCA to the head unit, then all the way back down the vehicle through the Rockford, through the vehicle chassis to main ground. And the issue is that there's lots of ripple on the main ground path, and through this high resistance ground trace all the way back to the Soundstream amplifier, this ripple is picked up and amplified as it's not referenced to the signal side. There's three solutions the customer has. Firstly, don't use the Rockford, use something else that has a floated signal side ground. Second solution is to use a ground loop isolator on the Rockford amp only. That will essentially isolate the Rockford amplifier, therefore not giving the Soundstream or the head unit a pathway to main ground through the RCAs. The third and most janky solution is to just connect up all of the signal side grounds to main ground for both the Soundstream and the head unit so it matches the Rockford. This can work, and it's why you see people doing this monstrosity at the head unit, but it's less than ideal and it can still introduce noise into the system. So the best way is to have all of your audio equipment floated on signal side ground. That way it's clean.